Welcome to Life Workshop, where we discuss the forgotten basics. The topic of this episode is gratitude. And again, as always, your most favorite host and co-hosts are here, Bo and Mo.
Hello.
So the topic, as I said, we are going to talk about gratitude, and as a general rule, I want to say that I divide it this way. Sometimes we help somebody, then if they express their gratitude towards, the help that we have provided. The other one case scenario is if somebody helps us, and then we express our gratitude towards them. And then the third one is the gratitude that we can generally have towards the things that we have. And the life that we have that is not related to a person, let's say being in this country, the life that we have, the good and the bad, that how we feel about that. So I just threw this as a general rule just to think about it, but we will get into details afterwards.
What's the general rule, sorry?
It is these three things. Are you do you express gratitude when somebody helps you? Or if you help somebody, do you expect that they show their gratitude? This is the second one. And the third one, do you have gratitude and appreciation for the things that you've got? Or you're focused on the things that you don't have? So as a general rule. And then another general rule that we will, again, I'm just kind of categorizing it this way very briefly, then I'll get into the stories. The other one is, as a general rule, some of us, we are more of a giver and some are more takers.
Mm-hmm.
So just keep that in mind too. But anyway, now back to the story.
Okay. Are you going to, when you say gratitude, what do you mean by gratitude? Like what are we defining that as?
The appreciation that, if, for example, somebody does you good, do you appreciate it? Actually, maybe I'll just start with this story then.
Appreciation?
Yeah, the appreciation that we have towards things or towards people that they help us. For example, I'm going to just throw this. Probably it will make it very clear.
Okay.
I had these friends, and I'm going to change names because I know that one of them listens to the podcast.
Well, now they're going to know anyway, so you might use the
I'm
name.
changing the names.
Oh, okay.
And I'm changing the genders too, in case. So hopefully nobody knows. I mean, they may know, but regardless. So the story goes like this.
We're Clark Kenting it over here.
Let's say there is this people. One of them we call Mike. The other one we call Abdullah.
Okay.
So Mike needs help. Asks Abdullah, can you do this for me? And Abdullah says, sure, I'm going to do it for you. And it was a relatively bigger favor. And then Abdullah does that for Mike. And then Mike once told me, as I said, they are not real names. So
Mike's such a pain in the ass.
He is. So Mike once he said, you know what? I asked Abdullah to do this for me, which is good. But you know what? He's learning something from it for himself. So he was thinking about what Abdullah gets. I said, hey, Mike, you just be simply grateful for the fact that he's doing something for you. Don't worry that what he gets. And you want him to benefit in this equation. He's not supposed to be losing.
Right.
So
is your story that Mike wasn't showing gratitude to Abdullah as much?
Correct. I mean, even if he did, it was not as genuine, because when your set of thought is this, that, you know what, you're doing this for me, but you know what, you're gaining this out of it.
Mm-hmm.
It will show somehow in the body language. Definitely. And there is a few problems with this. One is that you're discouraging the behavior of somebody helping you, because if you don't show genuinely that you're appreciative, that is one. And secondly, so you're discouraging that behavior on the other party. The second thing is that yourself, you will not be as happy. When you cannot appreciate that other people are nice to you, your level of happiness drops. That is guaranteed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because then you think that if somebody is helping me, it is more about them versus me. He's not really that nice of a guy. He just did this because he wanted to learn. not necessarily because of me. So it is all your own set of thought, not necessarily in this. And I'm not saying at times that he might be right, but
I guess
get the set of thought correct.
That kind of turns like them doing something nice for you into like a negative almost, that you can be almost angry about it.
It could be.
The way that you
it could be
anyway.
because it would become more of in a bad selfish way, because we have a good selfish way too, but a bad selfish way. Now, this continues. So Mike asks Abdullah and talks about Abdullah behind his back to me that, Abdullah is getting something out of this. So that goes. Then Abdullah, sometime after, something happened that there was this lady, a friend of mine, she helped him quite a bit. And then he turned out and said, you know what, she's helping this, but, she's gaining this out of it. I never told Abdullah that Mike said the same thing about you. Then I turned back to this Abdullah guy. I said, oh my God, you know what, if she's doing this, simply, she's a nice person. Just say thank you. Don't worry about the fact that what she's gaining, and you want her to gain something out of it. You don't want her to suffer. She's not supposed to be losing in this equation.
Hey, yeah, geez, I never thought about that. Huh?
Yeah, you want the other party to enjoy it.
Well, yeah. Why do they want someone to lose?
This is the thing. Actually, I'm going to go back to this. I will discuss it in another one because a friend of mine. I'm going to get a bit more into details. So Abdullah said this. Then anyway, this went on, and really I got a bit pissed off because I never told him that Mike said the same thing about you, and now you're saying this about that lady.
Right.
And then after some time, Abdullah came back and said that, Mo, can you help me with this thing? I said I can, but there is one condition. Never ever, it should not cross your mind that I'm doing this because I'm doing it, that I'm gaining something out of it. It is for me. And I'm doing it simply because I'm a nice guy. If you promise me that it doesn't cross your mind and you don't tell anybody that, oh, he did it for that reason, then I can. Otherwise, no. He said, no. You know what? I appreciate that, please, And so I helped him. He was a very intelligent man. It was just the set of thought was not correct. So this is where I'm going with this. Now I'm going to get back very quickly to this. I have this friend of mine. I'm going to call her Tina. That's not her real name. Because some of the one
you can't say that.
But anyway, so once she says, Mo, people are selfish. And actually, I think there was something anyway. She said, and they do things for their own reasons or for their own benefit. I said,
okay.
I said, Tina, actually, personally, I encourage people to be selfish. Being selfish is a very, very good thing. But the one that I'm talking about is a good selfish. So I'm going to just clarify that. I said, I'm going to hang out with you because I'm gaining something out of it. That gain is not necessarily financial, that sometimes people think, or because you do something for me. Sometimes I hang out with you because I can help you. And by helping you, I feel better. It can be either way. I said, I brought up this case scenario. I said, if there is a limited amount of food and there is a child and myself and both of us, we are hungry, I can eat the food and not give it to the child. But that's a bad selfish way. Would I do that? I mean, I know about my case, definitely not. Because I prefer to stay hungry as long as the child gets, fed. And I'm doing this not because I want somebody to say, oh, you're such a nice guy. I'm not doing it for that reason. I'm doing it because I just can't. My self-consciousness does not accept that I eat the food, for example, if the child is hungry. I just can't do that. I said so. And is it selfish? Yes, it is obviously selfish. I'm doing it for my selfish reason because I want to feel good. Not to be known that I did something good. I just want to feel good, and that makes me feel good.
Well, practically speaking, you would both eat, because if you had some food, you give majority probably to the child as it needs, but then you would need to take some as well so that you can go get more food in the future. Anyway, regardless, that what you just talked about there, that selfishness thing, that's called objectivism. It's a political philosophy. Sorry, not political philosophy. It's just a philosophical theory that and Ayn Rand kind of dealt with that a lot, but I don't think she came up with it. But that's a thing that you should check out, because that's what that whole thing, that philosophy of selfishness, is that it can actually work in to be a good, not like the evil selfishness, right? But I mean, that's all to varying degrees too, right?
Again, so at the end of the, and now I'm going to go back, because once I said this, a friend said that, okay, so that was you just made up a story. I said, I'm going to tell you a true one. I'm a physical therapist by profession, and it has happened a few times. And I'm not saying for somebody to come and say, oh, you're such a nice guy. I'm not doing it that way, but it's just the thing that happened. For example, I had this young man that he is a foreigner. He doesn't speak English well at all. He's working at a very minimum pay job, and he's new to the country. He doesn't know how the whole system works. He was hurt. So he came to me for physio, and he had to pay for that because he did not have medical coverage. So I couldn't accept the fact that he pays for it, to be honest. So I treated him. I did not charge him, and he didn't even understand what went on. He thought that maybe, and I gave him the impression that we get paid somehow through the healthcare, which was not the case. And then he got better and he left. And then one of my staff, and I just did it and it was finished. And then one of my staff afterwards said, Mo, you know that he never understood that you did him a favor. I said, yeah. She said, you know that he's not going to necessarily go and give you a good name to refer you another client or come back. I said, I know. So why did you do that? I said, "That did it for me." I said, I could not convince myself to get the money that he makes probably in one day for one assessment. I couldn't do that. I did it for me. I feel good about that.
Right.
And then, anyway, it just passed by a few days, and then I started thinking. And then I went back, and then I brought up with my staff. I said, you know what, you said that. Yes, when I did this act, I did not do it for any reason but me, because I just could not convince myself to get his money. But you saw this, and I didn't do it for you to see it, by the way. I didn't do it for this conversation to come up. I said, but I just crossed my mind. I said, but you saw this. Now, potentially, this can happen that in your mind, sometimes I'm a bit hard at, I do some stuff that I piss people off. I know you can't believe that. How can that be? But, so I said, but you see this, that I did this. You may see that, hey, Mo can be a jerk or can be hard at times, but he's a nice guy. And chances are higher that you will do something for me without me knowing, just because you got that impression. Chances are higher, I'm not saying 100% by any means, chances are higher that you see this, you might do the same thing. You might do some good to somebody else.
Right.
And we call that karma. It becomes a kind of that.
Sure.
I said, and I was not expecting the guy to do anything for me. I never actually crossed my mind any of these things. I never crossed my mind that I'm going to bring it up in a, podcast like this. It was just I did it for me. That was it. And now I'm going to go back to this. For example, once I was new to the country. It was in winter in here. Obviously, we get heavier snow, and after it was, I think, at the end of winter that a lot of snow is piled in the side of the streets. When you want to park, there isn't much room. And then there were these ruts that it was built because of the tires that they were there. So I wanted to park, and then I was exactly aiming to miss that, to get a bit off of that. As soon as I came to park, the car slid, and then whoops, it very easily just fell into those ruts. And it's a front wheel drive, and it was not, anyway, it got stuck. There was this guy who was driving by. He just saw this, and I was in my car. He just saw this. He just pulled over, backed up. He had a truck. He had his rope and everything. It just came very quickly, before anything I asked, he just helped me to pull the car out, and I parked it in somewhere else. And I said, hey, thank you, it was really good. So he gave me a very, very good feeling, because I was new. I honestly didn't know exactly how to handle the situation, what to do. But very quickly, everything was done. So when I saw that, I said, I'm going to do this one day. It really stayed with me. That guy, I don't know the guy.
Yeah.
He most likely doesn't know me. So, but anyway, it was just an act. So this is where I'm going. That sometimes we do something, it's just the feeling that you get, the good feeling. That's all it is. He's doing it for his selfish reason, but it's a good selfish. He feels good, I feel good, and probably if somebody saw it, feels good.
Okay.
So everybody gains out of this selfishness. So I thought that I'm going to do this, at one point. So years after, I bought this Honda CRV, which is a 4-wheel drive, or all-wheel drive, I should say, to be more technical. So I saw this lady, she had got stuck in the snow. I said, I'm going to be the hero. So I pull in, I go into this snow thing, deep snow, and then I stopped. I went and pushed her out. Then she said, can you get out yourself? I said, oh yeah, this is all-wheel drive. I was stuck. As she was driving to drive away, she saw me. She was just laughing. She pulled over somewhere that was more safe. She came back. 2 other guys came back because my car was stuck worse than hers. It became a funny thing. Then they just pushed me out. But it became a very good experience that sometimes, for example, in these times, you see that people are helping. It becomes a lot more fun. We just laughed and it was a good thing. The moral of the story is this. Sometimes we do some stuff, like for example, you run. Why do you run? You actually get sore. You feel good. It's just the feeling part of it. Now, when I'm talking about this helping, the gratitude, of course, we went a bit too far.
Yeah, I've been wondering, where does the gratitude come in here?
When you do something with no expectations, then it feels a lot better. First, you help somebody. First of all, I have said this before. They say, if you don't feel good, go help someone.
Right.
And especially if you're helping someone with no expectation. I will do another story, another thing that happened in my life, a big mistake. We will do it in the next podcast because that takes a bit longer.
So where does the gratitude come into play here? I get like your stories were about helping people, right?
Correct.
And it made you feel good.
Actually, we went a bit offside. It was that when you're helping with no expectation.
Yeah, but what does that have to do with gratitude? I'm sorry.
Actually, it was at the beginning when I started the Abdullah and Mike. I think that just got twisted.
Yeah, see that I was on board there. I could get that, but when you help someone and then, because that's part of the second thing there, when you help someone and then they show gratitude towards you, or they had gratitude, or what? Like, what are we?
Actually, I think we got a little bit off the topic. It was when that Tina lady that she said that people, they do it for selfish reason. I said no, people they are doing it, but in a good selfish way.
Right. Then we got into
helping.
Right.
Yeah, I'm doing it with the intention that I want to just be helpful, and I'm not expecting anything. But when it comes back to the gratitude part of it, is that really the body language is very important. And if really we appreciate for I'm going to throw this very quickly. A friend of mine, he's working for somebody on a split up, he gets a commission 50-50. And then one day, when he was talking to me, he said that I made so much money for my boss. And I knew he gets a split up 50-50. I said, you mean you made that much for yourself, right? Yes. I said, so why are you talking about what he's making? You're not talking about what you're making. He said, but that's true. I said, yes, it is true. The half empty, half full, both of them are correct. Which one are you looking at? I said, do you think he should do it for free for you? Give you 100%? No. So do you think you get a fair share? Yes. I said, so what's your issue? Why do you talk about the 50% that he's getting? You're not talking about the 50% that you are getting. I said, when you behave that way, the gratitude will not be there. You will not appreciate it. And it will show. At the same time, as I said, so you're not appreciative towards the good job, for example, your boss does for you or pays you a fair way. At the same time, you will not be as happy because, You're thinking about what he's making. You're not thinking about what you are making.
Mm-hmm.
So just that simple thought, this thing, they will change the behavior. At the same time, they will change the environment that you choose and the environment that you make. Because when you behave that way over time, you will push away people who help you with nothing, no expectation. You will push them away because you think they are gaining something out of it. And you will keep people that if they help you, they want something to get paid back.
Right.
And then your whole world that you create becomes a different one.
Right. Well, that's the whole disgruntled employee thing, right? People get paid so much and think, well, the company has money, or that, but they don't really understand what it all goes in. They don't know what the guy owning the company does, or
and at times
the managers and things like that. They, like a lot of people, and that we talked about once before about an employee mindset.
Yes.
I remember that. And that has a lot to do with that gratitude, that's people not showing gratitude, right? Having an employee mindset. Sometimes that's kind of a part of it. And when people get all mad about that, and that runs into, and then people are angry about like the boss, like the workers, and then they get angry at, say, the boss because they feel like they owe them something, right? But they don't know what that boss does.
Of course, this behavior can sometimes be in anybody, as an employee or employer. It's just a behavior that somebody has,
I guess I'm stereotyping. Sorry.
Yeah, it became a stereotype, but it can happen in anybody and everywhere. And because of that, I'm thinking that if we just change the way we think and be realistic, and yes, at times you could be right. For example, in this case, that at times, if you haven't been paid fairly, you think you can go discuss it. But you want to be fairly, not when you're paid fairly, and then yet you're talking about how much they make versus how much you make. That shows your thing. When you see somebody is helping you, you're not thinking, hey, thank you for helping me. And you think about, oh, but you know what? He enjoyed that, or he learned something. Just worry about what you're getting. Don't worry about, actually worry about that. And you want them to get too. They are supposed to enjoy the process. They are supposed to win. Because actually now I'm just going to go back to this with Tina. This Tina, that she said that people, they do this for selfish reason. I said, Tina, if you had a friend that you would go and hang out with and you would help them, but you would feel miserable because they make you feel miserable, or you lose, or feeling wise, or financial wise, or in a way, emotional wise, would you go back again? I'm going to go hang out with them again because I really want to help them to make more feel more miserable and lose more. Would you do that? No. I said, you're supposed to gain. Right. Everybody's supposed to gain in the equation. It's just that there's somebody more. And yes, when I'm helping out, I'm not supposed to be losing. If I give my food to the child, I'm not doing that to suffer. My feeling is good.
Right.
But you cannot come and say that, oh, you gave your food to the child because you were feeling good, to make yourself feel good. Yes, it is supposed to be that way.
Yeah.
Or for example, you help that Mike when he to do that because you learned something. Yes, I'm supposed to learn something too. I'm not supposed to be just a loser in this equation.
Right.
So it is that set of thought. That is all I'm trying to say that. And I normally say that worry about what you're gaining, not as much what the other party gains. And as a matter of fact, if you do, you want to make sure that the other party gains too, and gains a lot. But again, appreciate what you're gaining. That's the most important part. If now you kind of employer situation or anything else, if you think that you have not been paid fairly or something, then you can go and discuss that one separately. It's a different discussion. But otherwise, it's just a point of view. We will come back. We will talk about this in another episode because I have another, I think, a nicer story. Anyway, thanks for listening. And if you can, again, just think about this and you can discuss it. One of the best way really to learn is just to teach. They said and if you can discuss this again with friends, and if you have your own story of or helping out to somebody or getting help from somebody, to see if you can associate with this, kind of relate with what we just discussed, that would be awesome. And hopefully you find it, again, useful. Again, please remember, life is simple. We make it complicated. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.